Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of the program. It's Matthews in the Morning here on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're coming to you live from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a good show lined up for you today. But first, before we get to that, we're actually going to have some sports, folks, taking place this evening. Major League Baseball kicks off. First pitch tonight, opening night at 7 o'clock. You got the Yankees playing the defending world champion Washington Nationals. Garrett Cole will be on the mound for the Yankees, and Scherzer will be on the mound for the Nationals. And then the nightcap out on the West Coast, you got Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers taking on the San Francisco Giants. So Major League Baseball is cranking up this evening, and also the PGA Tour moves to Minnesota for the 3M Championship, which starts this morning. Now we're going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by a good friend of ours down in the Tampa area, Jan Richard. Good morning, Jan. How are you?
How you doing, Shane? Good to be here.
Great. And we're going to get to Jan. You've done a lot of TV, film production, radio over the years. You have a new project called Florida Rising Stars. Give us a brief little message of what it's about, because I want to play a video here after you do that so all our listeners can see what it's all about.
Florida Rising Stars, we actually developed that last summer. We joined forces with Florida Citrus Sports down in Orlando. We partnered with them, and we worked with them through their summer camp. They do an 8-week summer camp every summer. And the thing that caught my attention was it's a sports activities camp, but they spend the morning doing sports activities. In the afternoon, they do education, and it's kind of the way what we've adopted with Florida Rising Stars. We're working with kids, primarily middle school and high school kids, and many of which are underprivileged, and some of them even at risk, if you will. And we don't want to. We want to use sports because sports gets these kids excited. But we talk to them about things like substance abuse, mental health and wellness, nutrition, gang activity, the kind of thing that these kids are going to be running into if they haven't already. And we've put together a pretty solid team with Coach Bowden and Coach Spurrier at the top, and we've tried to get people who have actually experienced some of these things, some of these substance abuse areas, and so forth. So that's kind of what we do. We're going to be concentrating on Tampa, Orlando, and Gainesville at first, and eventually we hope to spread out across the state. So.
All right. Well, we're going to talk more about some of the big time names, celebrities that you have involved, but we're going to go ahead and run that video so people can see what we're talking about right now.
Rise and shine. 6 a.m. and your hand can't make it to the alarm clock before the voices in your head start telling you that it's too early, too dark, and too cold to get out of bed. Aching muscles lie still in rebellion, pretending not to hear your brain commanding them to move. A legion of voices are shouting their unanimous permission for you to hit the snooze button and go back to dreamland. The voice you've chosen to listen to is one of defiance, a voice that says there was a reason you set that alarm in the first place. So sit up, put your feet on the floor, and don't look back, because we've got work to do. Welcome to the grind. For what is each day but a series of conflicts between the right way and the easy way? 10,000 streams fan out like a river delta before you, each one promising the path of least resistance. Thing is, you're headed upstream. All you have to do is pick up your feet.
Adversity will come, and when it does, it will work to divide you and weaken unity that is so necessary for success.
Helping people is much more important than making money. Who you are as a person is much more important than what you do.
But you got to figure out what kind of a leader do you want to be, or how do you go about being a leader?
That's what you should do. You should play by the rules.
Welcome back to the program. Janet, I saw a lot, I saw a lot of big name celebrities on that video there. Let all our listeners know, go down the list again in case it went by too fast. Let them know who all is involved in this program.
Well, as I say, Coach Bobby Bowden and Coach Spurrier are kind of at the top of the list. Mark Richt, Brian Ford, who's the COO at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Lee Steinberg, Rocky Blyer, the Helinskis, Kim and Mark, Dedrick Dodge, Todd Marinovich, Shelton Cruz, Steve Hogan, Titus O'Neill, Elaine Larson, Kes McCorvey, David Steele, Vance Johnson, Nathan Whitaker, Barry Smith, Marcia Pinder, Grady Ross, J.P. Peterson, Matt McLennan, Chef Rich Rosato, and just recently we've added you, Shane, Daryl Talley, Johnny Damon, Jamel Hill, and Michael Milholm, who is, may remember him. He played the part of Buck Weaver in Field of Dreams. He's bringing some of his actor friends in, so we're going to have sports and actors. I've always found that most athletes want to be actors, and most actors want to be athletes. So it's a good cross reference, if you will. So,
no doubt about that. So, Jan, as I mentioned, you've done a lot of radio, TV, film production, and things of that nature. What made you want to come up with this project?
I don't know. I guess you could call it my last great adventure. We're combining production, and we're actually going to be starting to do a TV show. A weekly TV show, which is going to air on Varsity Sports Network, which is an internet network for high school sports. But we've got a couple of networks and a lot of TV stations that just basically want to see it first. So I don't know. It's just, like I say, I got involved with Florida. I've been involved with Florida Citrus Sports for 30 years now. And, I don't know. It's just something that I want to do before I hang up my cleats, as they say. So I'd like to be able to look back someday. And Titus O'Neill is quite an inspiration also. I don't know if you know, he works with kids a lot. And, some of the things that he's accomplished, I'd like to accomplish half of what he's accomplished. And I would be very satisfied. So.
Yeah, his story is really remarkable. And so you talked about these kids having camps where they're doing, sports related stuff. And then, they'll be talked about mental health, drugs, all that kind of stuff. When will these camps start up?
Well, like everybody else, we've been slowed down a little bit by our friend COVID-19, but we plan on having camps, one in each of the 3 locations in the fall, and we have a full schedule lined up. The other thing that inspired me from Titus is one of the things that he said was, it's great that you're doing this for the kids, but don't be just another camp that comes to town, does a camp, and then says goodbye, and the kids never see you again. So we're going to be doing 2 camps a year in each of those cities. We're going to be doing 2 of what we call live mic nights, where we bring in one of our team members to, into a high school gymnasium where the kids can actually interact with these people and they can talk to the kids. And then we want to have something, we're going to get them involved in Twitch and in Facebook. And we want to have the ability where these kids can where we can stay in contact with these kids. Again, I'd like to look back someday and say, maybe we had something to do with the fact that kid's in college right now. And we don't want to just be another one of those camps that, like the carnival that comes to town and then they pack up and they leave and they're gone. We want to stay with these kids.
Yeah, we're speaking with Jan Richard on the Titan MR hotline here. We're talking about his new project called Florida Rising Stars. So let's say 5 years from now, where do you see this project?
I see it statewide. I'd like to think we, over and above what we've talked about, we'd like to get these kids involved and give them the ability to get involved in production, where they can actually intern and, actually help these kids maybe pick a direction that they want to go in their life, give them instruction on, sports is great, but a very small percentage of people actually make it beyond high school. But there is a lot of opportunity in sports from a production standpoint, from a broadcasting standpoint. There's a lot of very top broadcasters right now who never really played sports. I mean, Jim Nance is a perfect example. I mean, Jim, he played high school golf and so on and so forth. And I mean, he's one of the top. So we just want to give these kids opportunities. And as I say, we're trying to use sports as a catalyst, because that usually captures their attention. And so, we'll let it expand to where it goes, but that's I'd like to be able to look, it's funny you mentioned 5 years. I'd like to look back in 5 years and just say, wow, look at what we did. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. You're not only going to have these camps, but you're going to put together some videos with a lot of these celebrities, Coach Bowden's, Coach Rick, Coach Spurrier, some other athletes, Titus O'Neil, talking about, what these kids need to do to be successful in life. How will coaches around the state be able to get access to these videos to show their players?
Well, we as I say, we're actually interviewing today Shelton Cruz, who is the executive director of Florida Athletic Coaches Association. And Kez is also brought in we've partnered with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and one of their missions is dealing with high school coaches and so forth. So these videos will be available on our website, but they can download them anything that they want, however they want to use them. We will play them at our camps, but as far as getting them to coaches and so forth, it's the same thing. We're going to make them available to, and we're concentrating on football and soccer at first. We may expand into basketball and baseball. I mean, as I say, Johnny Damon just came on board. So although he's a pretty avid soccer player, he plays in a soccer league. He's pretty good. But we want to make these available to all these coaches around the state. And Shelton has ways to reach all these coaches. He does a blast email once a month. So we're hoping that the word gets out. With thank you to people like yourself to help us get the word out. And that's basically what we want. And we're open to any suggestion that people have also. So if somebody wants something in particular, that's fine too.
We're speaking with Jan Richard. He's in charge of the new Florida Rising Stars project. You got a bunch of coaches on there, and you talked about staying away from drugs, gang related activities. But one thing that I think stood out to me the most is the mental health, mental wellness of athletes, especially young kids. And I've had Mark and Kim Holinsky on my program. Just talk a little bit about your relationship with them and how excited they are to be a part of this program.
Well, it's funny. They, I don't know whether it wasn't a 30-30. I think it was an E60. I remember the tragedy when they lost their son back in 2016. And about a month and a half, I guess a couple months ago, on a Saturday morning, I just happened to be flashing through the stations, and I came across the story of Tyler Holinsky. And I said, as I watched it, I said, these people I need to meet. And I did. I contacted them, and they have been very gracious. They understand, and this is something that you probably understand too as an athlete yourself, Shane. There are a lot of people out there that are hurting inside, but they don't say anything. They don't do anything. And for whatever reason, I mean, because it's not cool, because it's not manly, for whatever reason, they hold it inside. And what we have just gone through and what we are continuing to go through right now is even building even more. There's a lot of kids right now that have been locked in their homes for the longest period of time. They're not living their normal activities. And there are some things bubbling up in these kids. And if they don't say anything, then like Tyler Holinsky, we find out the hard way. And they are very excited to the point where in fact, she told me a couple of weeks ago, she said, it's because of you, we're going to start dealing with middle school and high school kids. They have, because their son, because they have been dealing primarily with college students. But she said, Mark and I had a conversation, and it starts when these kids are 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. And sometimes by the time they get to college, it's too late. So I'm very excited to have them on board. They have been so gracious, and just, that she constantly, I'll just get a text out of the blue and say, is there anything I can do to help? Those are the kind of people that we like to work with. So I know I listened to your interview with them last week. They're incredible. What they're doing is, unfortunately, they've been thrust into that position, but a lot of people would not do what they are doing right now. They want to spread the word. They want to tell people that it's okay. That's the important thing. It's okay. If you're having a problem, it's okay to tell somebody about it. Don't keep it inside, because it's just going to build up and cause a problem. So, and they are perfect people to talk about it, because they lived through it.
Absolutely. We're speaking with Jan Richard here on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. We got a text for you, Jan, on the Titan Tomorrow text line. It comes from Jim in Apopka. He wants to know, when y'all start having these camps, will there be a cost for the kids?
We're going to try to overcome that through sponsorship, depending on, because like I say, we're working with boys and girls clubs, and we're going to try to, what we did last summer, that's how we sponsored all 125 kids in the Florida Citrus Sports Summer Camp. And we paid for them through sponsorship. I mean, there's no cost to that camp, but the things that we did for them, we raised the money. And that's kind of, we're not going to turn any kids away. You don't have to be underprivileged to be part of this camp, these camps. But we're going to try very hard to make this so that it doesn't cost these kids, because many of these kids, even if it were only $25, they don't have $25. It's as simple as that. So we've got a lot of people that we've been talking to that would like to get involved, corporate people that would like to get involved. And, the magic word is kids. Everybody wants to help these kids. And, it's something that we really, you asked me earlier what motivated me, and that's it. It's the kids. It's all about the kids. So
if any of the listeners, or I don't know, you're talking about getting sponsorships and things of that nature, can just an individual make a donation to Florida Rising Stars Project?
Of course. Yes, very definitely. They can get a hold of me. Our website, I was hoping to time it properly. Our website will be up by the weekend. But yes, by all means, anything, there's no amount too small. We are officially a foundation and have applied for, have not been granted yet, but I don't see any problem, but we will be a 501c3. So this is a nonprofit type of organization that we have.
What's the name of the website going to be?
FloridaRisingStars.org.
That makes a lot of sense right there.
Yeah. And by the way, if you hit .com like I do, I've been conditioned that everything is .com. I never think about .net and .org and all the others. If you happen to by mistake hit .com, it will take you to our .org. So I do that. I do that because that's my problem. In my head, everything is .com. So
we got another text here for you on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Larry. Larry says, I heard that you had a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, Coach Spurrier and Davis Chevrolet last year, and took 100 kids to the Vanderbilt, Florida game.
We did, yes. As a matter of fact, we worked with Freddie Wiebe, as a matter of fact, Wiebe Marketing. He was so gracious to allow us to get involved in that. Once again, sponsors, the way we handled it back then was we had a student membership, which was $25. And that allowed, if they were a member, then they could then get involved in all these different projects that we did. And it was the sponsors that paid for it. So we raised enough money. And you're correct. That was through Wiebe Marketing. And I was very thankful. He invited me to get involved with that, and it worked out well. I'm constantly amazed at how, these kids, I didn't know what to expect. there was 88 kids and 12 chaperones. And I honestly didn't know what to expect. And they were the most well-behaved kids. I mean, they had a blast. They got a chance to meet Coach Spurrier. They had pizza. I mean, it was a great day. And these kids, I mean, they were great. And I think, that's the key. If you treat these kids with some respect, and don't treat them like kids, but yes, we did. We partnered with them, and we'd like to think that something like that can happen again, because, I did over and beyond that. I took 50 kids to an Orlando Magic game, and I took 50 kids to a Lightning game. So, and I find that most corporate people have no problem stepping up and helping us with that. So.
That's good stuff. We're going to take our first time out here. You're going to stay on a little bit longer with us. We're going to be joined by Florida State great Barry Smith. Y'all work on this project together, talk a little bit more about it. Then we'll talk about Barry's career. We're going to take our first time out. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your area rug cleaning services. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guide, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School, Doreen Weeby Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Radware, Style Cuts, Wrap Spot, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Chris Doring Mortgage, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance, MB Listings, and Pomodoro Cafe. If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to this Thursday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Starbucks, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point. We're still joined by Jan Richard, and now we're joined by Seminole great Barry Smith. Good morning, Barry. How are you?
Shane, I'm doing really good. If I was doing any better, they'd throw me in jail.
There you go. Well, we've been talking to Jan about the Florida Rising Stars project. Yep. You're a big part of this. Just talk a little bit about what it means to you to be involved in it.
Well, first and foremost, the fact that the initiative, the mission here is to work with kids, and I just call me old fashioned. The children are our country's greatest resources. And I don't think that we ever do enough for them. And I think it's probably getting worse. So I love Jan's initiative because really he's the, he's the brainchild of this thing. But again, the bottom line, what he's doing and the team that he's assembled and the different things that we're doing, it's just, to me, extremely impactful. I'm all about giving back. When you take your last breath for this work, from this world, I hope that we're all giving back as opposed to taking.
We got a Facebook Live comment here brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Mary says, youth is our future leaders and we need to get to them early. It's a wonderful program. Thanks for what y'all are doing. So Jan, talk a little bit about, when you thought about this program, Was Barry one of the first guys you went to? Because Barry's got his hands in all kinds of stuff. He's a busy man.
Yeah, actually, it was. I bounced just about it. Barry's one of those guys that knows something about everything and knows everybody. And I sat down with him and I said, I got this idea that I want to do. And he was nothing but, supportive from day one. What he just said is exactly the way Barry is. He wants to give back to the kids. He loved the whole concept, and we've taken it to the next level this year. And I hope 2021, when you see what we've got planned for 2000, I hope you'll see that that it's a worthwhile project. And I probably couldn't have done this without Barry's help in the beginning, to be honest with you.
Well, that's good stuff.
Well, Jan, thank you for that. Shane, everything to me is about teamwork. Nobody's going to accomplish anything by themselves. I mean, if you're really going to create something or make an impact, it's all about team and working with various people that you're all pulling together. If we're all pulling from the same side, it makes it a hell of a lot easier. And especially, again, we talk about kids. I'm a parent, as I know all of us are. And to me, whatever we can do is never enough, but let's keep doing it and let's try to do it better and more.
Absolutely.
Well, you're a grandparent now too, Barry. Don't forget that.
Yes. For the first time, I'm 69 years old, had to wait this long. And but yes, my son and his wife, July 9th, delivered a little girl, Andy, and God bless. I'm more than excited. I'm really euphoric. Okay, we'll just leave that. I'm euphoric. It's a neat thing.
That's awesome. Well, Jan, we appreciate you joining the show. We're going to sit here and talk about Barry's career at that other school for a little while, but we'll see you soon, Jan.
Thank you so much, Shane. Have a good day, Barry.
Thank you.
So Barry, when I bring on my former athletes here, I like to go back. I want to say you grew up down in Miami in South Florida. What made you want to be a Florida State Seminole?
Well, first, I was brought up and raised in a family, and I say an extended family, as a Miami Hurricane. I was born in Miami in 1959. When I was 8 years old, my dad started taking me to Miami Hurricane games. And if you remember a guy named Fran Kersey, all right, Fran Kersey was quarterbacking down there. And the next thing you know, it's then in 60, 61, all that. It was George Myra. So I was raised to be a Miami Hurricane. But then let's just say, as you fast forward, and I certainly wanted to go play college football somewhere. It just seemed that I wanted to get away from home. I didn't want to stay local. And I'll tell you, this is the funny story. Listen, when I say I didn't care where I wanted to go, I wanted to go to a school where I would have a chance to just excel. Okay, if I'm any good, and excel. University of Florida was on my map, but I got to tell you, my father, there were two universities my father says you will not go to. I will not let you go to. I will not let you visit. One of them is Florida, and the other was Alabama. Bear Bryant was there. He wouldn't even let me take the trip. All right. So basically, I really was, my number one choice was the University of Tennessee, because I also, I was a high hurdler. I was state champion. I finished 8th in the country in the National Junior Olympics. We ran at Tom Black track up there in Tennessee. But when it came right down to it, I said to myself, do I want to stay in Tennessee after I'm finished playing and all that? And it was back then. Now, we're talking about 50 some years ago. And I said, nah. I said, I love Florida, and Florida State was kind of like my 1A, back then. Don't forget, there was a guy named Biletnikoff and Sellers and some of that. And so since my dad said, you ain't going to Florida, well, it actually became pretty easy then.
That's good stuff. Talk a little bit about your Florida State career. And actually, I'm curious, you still hold a lot of records at the receiver position that a school has had a ton of good ones come through there. How fast were you back in the day?
Well, what's funny, I looked at, I think you were born in 1970, right, Shane?
Yes.
Yeah, June of 1970, as I'm getting ready for my sophomore year at Florida State. Okay, just to get an idea. Okay, so we're talking about a long time ago. So things were done a lot differently back then, but I was a consistent 4.5, back in those days. and you didn't see a lot of, well, let's just put it this way, as a high hurdler, I was plenty fast, okay, back in those days. Never, ever got caught from behind, let's put it that way. But we also, back then, we couldn't play as freshmen.
Right.
So if you remember that, which was kind of frustrating. So whatever I did in 3 years. But, Florida State gave me a great opportunity. One of the things I'm probably the most proud of is what you do with your catches. So if you saw that in my career, in my 3-year career there, that I averaged 20.1 yards a catch. All right. And scored like 27 touchdowns. Okay. So the ratio, I only had like 127 catches, but when I made a catch, I was scoring touchdowns and I was making big catches. Okay. So it was impactful. Now, again, I'll say, thank God I had a guy like Gary Huff, as a quarterback. And we had some great offensive coordinators. Don't forget, Joe Gibbs was there, and Dan Henning. Of course, Bill Parcells was on the defensive side. But one of the great things about Bill Peterson that, he wanted to have a passing attack, which Florida did as well. We were probably one of the 2 schools that actually threw the ball. Nothing like they do today. I would dearly love to be a wide receiver today. Are you kidding me? Catch 100 balls, in the season? Oh, my God. But you know what? We had a lot of fun. And that's, the bottom line is I had a tremendous amount of fun, and I had a chance to play at the next level because of that.
We got a Facebook Live question here brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Jeff wants to know, what high school did you go to in Miami?
Miami Coral Park. Miami Coral Park. It was a very young school. I was actually probably thinking the 3rd or 4th graduating class. I was slated to go to this Miami High, Miami Senior High, the Stingrays, big, like Coral Gables and Jackson, and those big traditional schools. And then I had a junior high coach talk me into going to the new school because we were on the borderline, because it was the first school to be 100% air conditioned. And say, oh, you young kids, you don't know what that's like to go to a school in South Florida with no air conditioning. And you sweat your ass off year round. And so I go, sure, but again, then I wound up going to a high school that basically ran the football, so that was another reason that I definitely wanted to go to a school that threw the ball so I could have some fun.
Absolutely. Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Barry, what did it mean when you got inducted into the Hall of Fame at Florida State?
Well, certainly it made a great deal to me because, let's say as a kid and, you follow a guy like Fred Biletnikoff and then Ron Sellers. And so I was the 3rd wide receiver to go in, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And also I went in with a dear buddy of mine, James Thomas, JT Thomas, who was the first Black athlete at Florida State. Okay. Now there were 4 guys that came in, but he's the first guy to actually play in 1970 with me. We were in the freshman class together, came through together. He was an All-American DB. And then he went on to win 4 Super Bowl rings with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Did pretty good. So it meant a great deal to me, again, because let's face it, we all have an ego. We all have an ego. We wouldn't play the sport if we didn't have it. And the guys that, when I say it really doesn't matter what level, but I always wanted to excel. If I'm going to do something, I wanted to try to be the very best. And if you couldn't do the very, very best, you get frustrated if maybe sometimes things around you keep you from doing that. And that can also be very frustrating. So again, all the dreams, whatever I ever wanted to do, I was able to do at Florida State, except one thing.
What's that?
Beat the University of Florida.
Too bad.
I figured I'd throw that out before somebody called in.
Right. So Barry, you're on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame. That's got to be pretty cool.
Shane, let me tell you, I was caught off guard with that because, again, at some point, you we all hope maybe and all that kind of stuff. And then you get to a point and you go, it's not going to happen. And you know what? And again, I got to tell you, there's a lot of things that are that are very important in my life, but having my 2 kids and it being a grandfather outweigh anything, no matter what. Okay, as long as they love me, I'm in good. But they must have a veterans committee or something like that. But to make the ballot, to be on the ballot, I'm tickled. I'm tickled right there, because at least the vetting process to be on that is not easy to get on that ballot. So, hey, if that's as far as it goes, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I was going to ask you, I think you're a little bit older than Carlos Alvarez, right?
Let me tell you, Carlos, I know Carlos very well. He's 1 year ahead of me. And let me tell you real quick about Carlos. All right. He played football at North Miami High School. I played at Coral Park. We played against one another in high school. As a matter of fact, my junior year, his senior year, we both made the first team Miami Herald all-city football team.
Well, I was going to ask you, who would win in a race back in the day?
Oh, I'd beat him. With that, there's no way. There's no way he would beat me. All right. But Carlos is, let me tell you, I'm a big fan of Carlos Alvarez, the Cuban Comet, because he was an incredible athlete. Remember, he was a running back in high school. So, and he was a great running back, big, good enough. And you think about, well, all about Dade County. All the athletes come out of Dade County, and he's certainly one of the greatest ones. So I'm a big fan of Carlos.
Well, what's crazy is because I've had Carlos on my show, and, you guys only got to play like 3 years of college ball back in the day because you couldn't play as a freshman. And both of y'all still have so many records at schools that have produced All-Americans across the board. It's crazy to think, go back that far, that y'all still have all those records.
Yeah. When I think, I'm approached, 50 years ago right now, again, I'm a sophomore. So you think about how long that Carlos and I have been around. And again, it's a point of pride for both of us, but, I'm also one of those that we had our day in the sunshine, and we were given our day in the sunshine, and records are made to be broken. So, again, I had my day in the sunshine, so to speak. I was there. Okay. I was there. And I'll say the one with the highest average per catch in a career is still, to think about with all the kids that have come through, that obviously are faster nowadays, but it was good.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. July is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. So, Barry, you get drafted by the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
Which in all my years in the NFL, my favorite place to go play a game. The tradition, it's awesome there. Talk about your career with the Packers.
First of all, I'll echo what you said. There is no place like playing in Lambeau. Okay. That's like, I guess if you're baseball, you got to play at Fenway and you got to play at Wrigley. Okay. And Lambeau is one of those historic. I felt that way about the Orange Bowl, but unfortunately that's long gone nowadays. But, I was excited to be a number 1 draft choice. I was the 21st player picked, and I was very, very excited. The problem is, and Shane, I know that you'll understand this, I was there for 3 years. First of all, Dan Devine was the head coach when I came in there until they fired him the next year. All right. And then Bart Starr became the head coach in 75. Okay. But unfortunately, he inherited, let's say, a lot of baggage. I caught passes from 9 quarterbacks in 3 years. Oh, wow. 9 quarterbacks. Okay. So I can see your face. You go, what? And you think about those guys, let's say the last 20 years at Green Bay, they've had 2 quarterbacks, 2 great quarterbacks. So I'm not blaming anything, but what I guess I was trying to say is going to Green Bay when I did, it probably wasn't the best times because we had issues. Okay. We had issues. So when I get back, when I told you about being frustrated, very frustrated. Let me tell you, okay, one of the quarterbacks, his name was Carlos Brown. Carlos Brown, we're in the huddle, one of the games, which I caught it, didn't catch many touchdowns up there, but I caught one against the Bears, which you played for, up there at Soldiers Field. So we're in the huddle, snow's coming around and we're getting our ass beat, and Carlos goes, you know what? I'm quitting. What do you mean you're quitting? He says, I'm going to Hollywood and become an actor. I'm going, yeah. Anyways, he was done. Okay, he was done. When he pulls up, he wound up being in a number of those, The Longest Yard and North Dallas 40, all those. But if you ever watched the TV series In the Heat of the Night with Carroll O'Connor, his sidekick Bubba, that's Carlos Brown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and his he's got two names. Alan Autry is another name he goes by. You'll see him, Alan Autry, and also Carlos Brown. He was also the mayor of Fresno at one time.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could, if we had a few beers, I could tell you a lot of funny stories.
Oh,
Ted Hendricks was my roommate also one year on the road.
That's awesome.
That story.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because when I was in the NFL with I can't remember what team it was, but we did the old where we went before the season started during training camp. We went to Green Bay for like 3 days to practice with them, and then play a preseason game. But I got to experience riding the bikes with the little kids.
Absolutely.
Did they do that when you were there?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. That was again. Green Bay is all about family. Okay, and when you say, listen, I'm excited. I own one share of Packer stock, okay, that was given to me. All right, I got it up on the wall. Again, Green Bay is so unique because it's 100% family oriented, and the community takes a lot of pride into it. And let me tell you what, it was, I got very involved with the Big Brother program when I was up there at Green Bay. It was pretty cool, but I loved the bike. That was a tremendous tradition, and they still do it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yep.
So Barry, you go from Green Bay to Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Okay. You get to play with the head ball coach, Coach Spurrier, back in those days. Y'all didn't win a dang game. What was that season like?
Well, let me tell you what. First of all, love Steve. God bless him. He was, he was probably one of the calming influences, that we had on that team. When I say, and obviously you've heard me say it a couple of times about being frustrated. Again, when you go 0-14, it's not an easy thing to stomach. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know, now one of your buddies, Lee McGriff, was also down there, at the same time. Jimmy Dubose, we went 10 weeks of 2-a-day practices, 10 weeks of 2-a-day practices in pads. Okay, so by the time the season started, we were scrimmaging the week of the game. We had lost a lot of guys that could have been impactful, especially on the defensive side. But again, Steve was one of those. We rallied around Steve. He had a house that he had rented there, and so there was no way that we were going out in the public after some of the games. So we went back to his place and just kind of partied till the sun came up and licked our wounds.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, I'd heard those stories that Coach had a house down there and the team would come over there after games and have a few beers and party it up, right?
Did he ever tell you the story about Johnny Roush, our offensive coordinator?
Never heard it.
Okay, well, all right. Johnny Roush was, let's say it is time back in the day, an All-American at the University of Georgia quarterback. He was the head coach of the Oakland Raiders when they played the second Super Bowl in Miami against the Packers, okay, and was the Raiders head coach, and I think even the Bills head coach. Anyway, in '76, John McKay hires Johnny Roush to be our offensive coordinator. All right, so here we are, working away, and Johnny obviously, he had a lot on the ball, and Steve and him got along very well, but there was a little friction between Coach McKay and Johnny. So we're playing, I think it's the third game of the year, the regular season. We're playing the Cincinnati Bengals up there in Cincinnati. And, 1 o'clock game, beautiful day and all that stuff. And about, early in the second quarter, I look across the field and I see Johnny Roush walking behind the Bengals bench, and he's walking down and then he goes in the tunnel. And I'm thinking, that's a little early for the OC to head for the locker room. So we get in at halftime in the locker room. You don't see Johnny Roush anywhere. And usually, he'd get up and say his thing about whatever adjustments we're going to do. Nothing. We get on the team plane, there's no Johnny Roush. Johnny, in the middle of the game, had told Coach McKay, stick it. He said he quit. He quit right there. So, again, boy, we had a lot of issues going on that 76 team. But the love, I'll tell you, there's a lot of those guys still live here, in the Tampa Bay area. And we get together every now and then and, have a lot of laughs. And I guess what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah. Facebook Live comment brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. It comes from Bobby, from a Noel fan. Thank you, Shane, for your great podcast. Thank you, Barry, for all you do. Go Noles, go Gators. Barry, did you know, you were 1 year there with Coach with the Bucks. Did you have any sense then that this guy may be one day one of the greatest college football coaches of all time?
Well, Steve was always very creative. Okay, Steve was always very creative. There's no question what he did when he was at Duke. Okay, turned that program around. And then when he was the ball coach with the Bandits, of course, there was no doubt. Most of us back then were going Culverhouse, because when we had that chance to hire Steve, but there was no way Culverhouse was ever going to hire Stevie. Okay, and it's a shame, because I think he would have done very well. But again, I have the utmost respect for Steve and his ability. Listen, I watch the ACC network and the SEC network, and just the other night I'm watching, really when you got there, from Pascagoula, number 9 on the depth chart to start with, and anyways, you wind up being playing in, well, obviously your records and what you've accomplished were incredible, but it had to be a blast playing for a guy like Steve. And I love the idea. Hardly any playbook, just a few notes, and it's all in his head. And he puts a lot of responsibility on you because he has the respect and the confidence in your ability.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, Barry, let everybody know what Barry Smith's up to these days.
Well, first and foremost, I'm retired. The last 5 years, one of the big things that I was doing, I was president of the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. And just recently stepped down. Still, I guess they call me now President Emeritus. We're doing a lot of wonderful things. Next Wednesday, we'll announce our class of 2020. I'm also a Shriner and spend a lot of time. We're raising money. We have 22 children's hospitals and clinics around the country, and that's probably, to me, one of the most important things that I do. Again, it's a thing of giving back. The other is, hey, I'm happy to be a granddad. I want to spoil my grandchild, and we kind of do that. I love to play golf. I play several times a week. A lot of buddies. My game stinks, but when you smoke cigars and drink a little bourbon and you got a boom box going, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good stuff there. Barry, I want to get your thoughts on FSU. Obviously, they had some success. We know what they did with Bobby Bowden, legend there. Then Jimbo takes over. They do win a national title there. He leaves, however you want to put it. Didn't work out for Willie Taggart. Do you like to hire Mike Norvell?
I like to hire Mike Norvell. I've got some buddies that are played at Memphis State, and so they had gotten to know him over the last so many seasons. And they told me that they were worried about losing him to FSU. And so I know that he has a lot of respect from, the alumni and all that. I love what I see when I watch Memphis the last few years, and you watch how they play ball and the intensity and all that, and the type of ball they play. What's frustrating is this COVID thing that hits us. As you know, he's not able to spend, he and his young staff, that quality time, with the players. And, it's just another challenge, but I think in time that we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Last thing for you, we just got a text on the Titan Tomorrow text line. It comes from Jack. He wants to know what it was like playing for Don Shula, even though you were there for a short time with the Fins.
Let me tell you, I was never more excited than to be traded. Actually, Steve Spurrier and I got traded or cut and traded on the same day. Okay. And that's another whole story, but I was very excited because I always wanted to play for the Dolphins. I was there in '66 and saw the very first game, when I was 15 there. Schnellenberger was my wide receiver coach. And so Howard Twilley had retired, and they brought me in to be the third wide receiver back then, when they went for passing downs, and to be the slot receiver that had Nat Moore and Duriel Harris were going to be the outside. So I was very, very excited and was having a good preseason. Unfortunately, I contracted a polio virus, and which was just, came out of left field, and that was the end of it. So it was frustrating from that standpoint. But Shula had the utmost respect and everything about the Dolphins. You know why they win. And then, when you look back and say, what were you doing at Green Bay and Tampa, then you see what Shula was doing. Of course, he's winning Super Bowls and having Hall of Famers because he was doing it the right way.
Well, Barry, you've done it the right way. We appreciate you joining the show here. You're one of those good guys from the other school, and we appreciate you coming on the podcast, my man.
Shane, thank you for having me, and God bless. Have a great day.
All right, that's Barry Smith, Hall of Famer for the Florida State Seminoles. We're going to take our second time out of the program. When we come back, we're going to wrap this thing up. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back.
Time out! Hey, time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your area rug cleaning services. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guide, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School, Doreen Weeby Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Radware, Style Cuts, Wrap Spot, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Chris Doring Mortgage, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance, MB Listings, and Pomodoro Cafe. If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, podupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. This Day in Sports is brought to you by Area Rug Masters. Don't fight your area rugs. Take them to Area Rug Masters. With their convenient curbside services, you will never need to go anywhere else. Call them at 352-448-5999. This Day in Sports back in 1989 at the British Open at Royal Troon, American and Gator Mark Calcavecchia wins his only major title and the first ever 4-hole aggregate playoff with Australians Greg Norman and Wayne Grady. It happened in 1989. We would really want to thank Jan Richard and Barry Smith talking about the Florida Rising Stars project that they're involved with. Also, Barry talking some good stories with Coach Spurrier, his FSU career, his pro career. I'm sure, like we had somebody, Jeff here, comment on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law. He says Barry needs to write a book, and he probably does. Tomorrow's program, make sure you tune in. We're going to talk a little Gator baseball, Santa Fe Saints baseball with Johnny Wiggs, former Gator pitcher, who's their head baseball coach. Obviously, their season got canceled. Talk to him about Major League Baseball starting tonight. We'll also have Brent Beard giving us the news and notes around college football. That show's going to be a wrap, folks. Make sure you stay safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow. But today's show is a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. Take care.